Hello everyone, today I'm doing a commentary. Just be aware that commentaries are times for me to self-reflect and to point out the things I am doing wrong and the technicalities I'm not achieving. So just keep that in mind when you're watching the video, but let's get straight on to it. Okay, so if you go ahead and read the description box, you will realise that we've kind of gradually built up the intensity over the past week, I suppose, since he's been back, of our training routine. And I suppose by the end of this ride, my goal was to have a horse who was in the contact and was connected. That was my main goal, and I didn't want him falling on the forehand. Here I felt we had right there in that slow motion point a good sense of connection. Now I've put a lot of slow motion clips in with things I want to point out, or milliseconds where we get it but then we lose it. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get him, I suppose, in a frame, but I don't want him pushing down. Don't want him barreling down. And you can see here his inside shoulder is falling in so much, and I put that in slow motion because right there, that is such crookedness right there, and I try and really fix that as I go throughout the ride coming down that long side using the mirror that we see there. So when I go around the corner as well, I'm trying to keep the balance, so I'm putting the weight in my outside stirrup, and you can see there we get that moment of connection. So every time we get that moment of connection, I'm trying to kind of look at it, take what I'm doing right, and try and apply it throughout the rest of the ride. So from what I'm gathering with myself in this ride, every time I feel that moment of connection, it's when my hands are slightly above the bit because I'm catching his contact. Now that's not a good habit to get into, but this is what I'm telling you I'm feeling. So I'm feeling that whenever I raise my hands, I'm catching the contact. I feel like when I'm getting him connected, I have a nice upright body position, and he's traveling forward and he's pushing himself into the bridle and his hind legs are coming under him. That for me is the definition in this ride of when he's connected. That is what I feel. That's what I'm acknowledging that I'm seeing. So we just did our kind of trot routine, and I just gave him a bit of a long rein to kind of relax. And I might actually do a video on what my riding routine is, so my warm up, etc., etc., but that's something for another day. So all I did here was kind of just relax a little bit. We just did a bit of right trot, a bit of left trot, a bit of canter, a bit of right canter, but we didn't get to film all that because Dad got there a little bit late. Winston saying hi to the camera. And a lot of this ride was kind of picking up on things that were going good, picking up on things that were going bad, a bit of trial and error, getting back to riding a different horse to the horses I've been riding the past few weeks. Okay, so here we actually, I'm pretty sure, get a canter transition. So I played that back for you. I think that canter transition was quite nice. I think it was quite fluid. I think he tucked behind he tucked behind the frame, and that's something I want to work on. I want to work on angling his head a little bit further outwards, but maintaining the frame. Down this long side, I feel like he was fairly connected, but me as a rider, I think I need to be stiller. I think I need to be a bit more quiet, a little bit more effective, but kind of with the mindset that if I say he needs to do something, he needs to do it, and I don't need to have to keep asking. But then again, I'm wanting all this to look still. I'm wanting it to look relaxed. And I actually brought him off the track a little bit there, and you can see we kind of did like a really shift to the inside, shift back to the outside, because I felt like he was falling out through the outside shoulder, so I kind of pushed him off the track and brought him back in. That was a horrible canter transition. Reasons why: I didn't prepare for it. I asked for it too harshly. I didn't do an increasing build up to a canter transition. I just boom asked for it. There, I think we had a good moment of connection, and I came back to trot because I felt like as soon as I got the connection, we got it. Now you can see there this incredibly crookedness in my arms, and this ride I was making a mental checklist of all these things that I wanted to fix, all these things that weren't going right, all these things that I needed to change. And one of them is, we had a bit of a strap problem here, so I just had to fix that. But one of those problems is that when I ask for my inside flexion, my inside hand raises too much, it puts off the balance. I'm opening my outside arm, I'm not actually moving it back, and it's just creating this huge imbalance in my upper body, which I need to fix. And also too, you guys, I'm trying as well in corners and things. I think we actually do a canter transition here. Canter transition's not too bad. It wasn't as quiet as the left canter lead. That section there, I felt like we got so connected, but then you see my rein loosen, the connection's gone. And this is why I decided this commentary I'd put things in slow motion, because I want you guys to see the immediate difference that I notice, but when I watch it back, but I didn't necessarily feel, if you know what I mean. This is why I love watching back videos, because I get to assess myself and I get to see what I can change differently. Now when I'm going around corners, all I'm doing is pressing on my inside leg, putting all the weight into my outside stirrup and trying to create inside flexion. There, for that millisecond, I felt like we had connection, so I just let loose of the reins, kind of relaxed him a little bit, let him have that little bit of a stretch, brought him back to trot, and this was again our bit of a relaxed session. So I just trotted him around on a loose rein and just gave him a pat, and that was kind of our, I suppose our first kind of schooling part, I guess you could say, of the ride. And you can see there too, you know, every time I'm asking him to move into the corner, I'm opening my outside rein, and it's causing this imbalance, and I don't like it. It needs to be subtle, it needs to come back. Now here you can see, if you look at his feet really, I feel like, are opening up more now. I feel like he's loosened, I feel like his muscles are releasing a little bit more, and he's coming over his back into the stretch. And you can see there too, in that millisecond, I felt like he wasn't tucking under. I felt like he kind of angled his nose outwards, which I felt was nice. So again, I put that in slow motion, something I want to reflect and look back on. So when I'm going around in this walk, I'm really trying not to let him shut down. Sure, it's a walk. Yes, it's on a long rein. Yes, I'm trying to get him to stretch, but that doesn't mean I don't want him active. That doesn't mean I don't want him going forward. I'm trying to still keep kind of the attention, I suppose. It doesn't necessarily need to be a physical thing, but I just want him mentally. I don't want him to switch off. He's still working. He's just in his cool downs, or his, I suppose, relaxed session. You can see there too, even when I'm just patting him, like, I'll be fair here, he was kind of a bit spooky at this pole that's leaning up against the arena, so that's why there's this huge opening of the outside rein. But to be honest, it's not that different to when I'm actually riding. There's this huge crookedness in my upper body, and we really need to fix that, because it's becoming a habit now, and yeah. And I feel like I'm not really helping his crookedness either. So here I just did some no-stirrup work, because I felt like my position was in my legs. I felt like I was kind of creeping up, and whenever I feel that, I go straight into no stirrup work, because I think it releases the muscles and it makes you use the right ones, and you need to use the right muscles, otherwise you pop out of the saddle and you feel uncomfortable. So this is kind of me as a rider. Whenever I feel I'm not getting it, or my leg position, my muscles aren't switched on, I go straight into no stirrup and I do some work on that. Now right there, I felt we had fantastic connection. I think that he was put together. I think he felt connected. I felt him in the contact, and I think that was great there. And then we lost it a little bit, and he kind of got a bit shaky. But I think it's really important too, is, like I said, every time we do get that connection, I kind of think to myself, well, what was I doing there that I didn't do 2 strides later? And that way we can kind of build, I suppose, a bit of a better result. Now what's happening here is I'm on the short sides, I suppose, trying to collect a little bit more, and on the long sides I'm trying to extend a little bit more. Now I haven't done sitting trot with Winston for a very long time. As you guys know, he's been on paddock break for a while, and what happened here was I actually saw we did a trot circle, and I kind of released my rein a little bit, but I felt him kind of search for the contact, and I put that in slow motion, and I hope you can see that, because I felt like he kind of looked for it. It disappeared a little bit as a rider mistake on my behalf, and there we get the contact again. I felt like those 2 kind of quarters of the circles were really nice, and what I loved there was he searched for the contact. I didn't give it a rider mistake, but he went, hey, hang on, and he kind of looked for it, and that was something that I really liked that happened there. And also too, you know, I've been riding horses who I use the sitting trot to collect and to calm down, whereas with Winston I'm using it a bit differently. I'm trying to use my sitting trot when I'm in it to create impulsion and to get him kind of a bit more, I suppose, expressive, whereas with the other horses that I've been riding, you know, whilst Winston has been away, I've been trying to use my sitting trot to collect them and calm them down a little bit, so it's a different application. So I feel like that trot transition wasn't too bad. It wasn't too quiet either. I could improve on that, and you can see there that huge imbalance in my arms again. This is very long and very in-depth, but you guys seem to like the commentary, so I'm keeping it in. Now what I felt there was, I felt he went boom, he went down. It was like carrying a bit of a wheelbarrow. So I just immediately raised my hand a little bit above the bit and got him to carry himself a bit more. I didn't want him to fall down onto the bit, and that's what I did there. Again, I felt like he kind of lost it. I felt like he lost his connection, so I came back to walk and I tried to re-establish it and bring back up, I suppose, the connection that I wanted to have. And also as well too, regarding my muscles in my legs, there are times when I am going down the long side and I super collect, simply because my muscles in my legs, I'm using the wrong ones, and I consciously need to tell myself, hang on, release your knee a little bit, still in your feet, just relax. And you see me kind of go from these kind of normal trot to these short collected ones, because I try and use the short collected trots to get my seat back and get me more relaxed, because as soon as I cling on, I kind of pop out of the saddle and I hate it. And you can see here what I was doing. That trot looks horrible, I'm aware of that, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to teach him that as soon as, if I pull on the reins, there's a difference between me asking him to stop and to change gait and to kind of, I suppose, collect and get a bit more connected. And what I was doing on that short side was I was trying to collect him, but every time he went to walk, I was kind of pushing him onwards, because I wanted to teach him that and try and enforce that, you know what, just because I use a bit of rein doesn't mean you immediately shut down. That's not how this works. So here what I did, this was kind of a bit of, I suppose, our cool down. We did a bit of left canter, a bit of right canter, and I felt like we were kind of in this compact state the whole time. So I was just trying to release him. I wasn't too concerned about frame in this section, and I was just trying to, I suppose, let him release a bit of muscle and release the tension that I might have put on him or kind of pressured him with. And I was just using my 2-point, it's not even really 2-point, I was kind of just using a bit of light seat just to kind of let him travel a little bit underneath me. Now I feel like that transition, you can see there my hand's going up because I'm feeling him dragging down, and you see the difference. You know, I'm trying to make it quite sharp because I want him to feel the difference too. What I was going to say was, you can see with that trot transition back there, that was a really nice corner. I felt like he didn't fall out too much through the shoulder. What I was going to say was, with that trot transition back there, it was nice because he kept the impulsion through the transition, but it was a bit rushed. So there's that fine line between, is it full of impulsion and is it looking, I suppose, full of impulsion, or is it rushing? And I feel like we got a little bit of both there. Pretty sure we're going to right canter. I'm not too happy with this transition. I mean, it's not horrid, but he lost the connection. I feel like right there, he had it okay, and then we kind of just got that slacking in the reins again, and he kind of gave it up a little bit. And that's, right at fault too. I'm too inconsistent, and I need to start developing my consistency. Nothing much to report here, kind of just going in a light seat, letting him travel. Now, we broke into a trot there. I did a huge exaggeration of inside flexion because I wanted to get the right lead, and most horses, I feel, or the horses that I've kind of ridden, either prefer one rein or prefer one canter lead or the other, and Winston doesn't like his right canter lead. So I did a huge exaggeration there because I wanted to give him that opportunity to take the right canter lead when it wasn't in a corner, because usually we pick up canter in a corner, which is it's a habit that we shouldn't really have, but just kind of being riding in lessons, that's kind of what we've done. We've kind of always picked up canter in corners. So, and in lessons too that Winston is in, that's usually how it goes. Now, I felt this change of direction here was very fluid. I felt the change of bend, and I felt the change of flexion, and I feel like it was really smooth. So I put that in slow motion because I hoped you could see it too when the bend changed. So go back and replay it if you would like. I feel like he's quite connected there again. I'm sorry if I'm using the same words. I feel like he's quite connected there again, but you can see those hindquarters swinging to the inside. So down this long side, I should be using my mirror more. I'm not. He's crooked. He needs to get straight. And watching it back, you can see it more obvious than when I'm riding and I feel it. So that was kind of it. I suppose I just let him go for a roll so you guys can just enjoy this footage while I talk with you. But what happened there, sorry guys, I just wanted to say, when I release him, I don't want him to immediately run off. So he went to turn around and I said, wait, and then I released and he rolled. But But yeah, so I feel like this ride was a bit of an assessment. I've written down a list of things that I would like to improve. I've written down a list of things that I want to work on over the next 6 months or so. And I've written in the description box a few more things about kind of the intensity of our ride and how I've kind of tried to get a bit of our training routine back, I suppose. Oh, we also had a really good fall on Monday. We went jumping and in our lesson, and there were other horses too, and we were kind of having fun in our lesson and kind of jumping around. And Winston was like, "Oh my god, holy crap, there's horses, it's fun, oh my god." And we went over this barrel, and he was getting super excited, and I was like, you know what? If he jumps it, that's great, probably going to fall off. And I went over the barrel anyways, and he did this huge buck afterwards, and I fell off and landed on my side. But you know, just thought I'd let you guys know. I didn't think I wrote about that on Instagram, but yeah, I'm fine. But it's just going off the technical side of things for a second. This horse just makes me really happy, and I don't know, I just feel, when I ride other horses, sure, I love riding other horses, but I feel like me and Winston actually have a bond. He recognizes who I am. I feel like he knows it's me when we're riding, and I don't know, that's kind of nice. I suppose it's nice to have that bond back. So, I suppose, guys, that's kind of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. I hope you picked up on something new. Maybe this was a nice sunset when we were driving home. I thought this was pretty. Maybe you learned something that you can use in your own self-assessment. And I would seriously recommend getting people to film you, because you learn so much when you watch yourself back. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next week. Bye!